Good evening and welcome to the June 12th, 2023 City Council Roundtable. I am Mayor Ross, and tonight's roundtable is being brought to you live using video conferencing technology provided by Zoom and will be posted on the city's YouTube channel. So thank you for joining us this evening. City Clerk Dean, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Benson,
Here.
Councilmember Watton,
Here.
Councilmember Holloway,
Here.
Councilmember Mayhew,
Here.
Councilmember Washington,
Here.
Councilmember Christensen, here, Councilmember Johnson, present, and Mayor Ross.
I am here. So was he online? He's online, okay. Most likely he will be here, but should we go ahead and excuse Councilmember Johnson?
So moved. Second.
So it's moved by, who is it, Mayor Pro Tem Holloway and second by Councilor Mayhew. That's right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Right, so he is excused. So we move to our first item, special business, which is to approve the agenda. Council may have motion to approve the roundtable agenda.
Second.
Who's the first? Oh, Councilor Watton approved and Mayor Pro Tem Holloway second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? All right, so tonight's agenda is an item, we're having some computer issues, okay. Is an item discussion on housing policy strategy. We have Director Emily Artecha, who will lead us in the discussion. So we'll turn it over to Director Artecha.
Thank you. Well, welcome council members. My name is Emily Arteche, Community Development Director with the City of Snoqualmie. And we've discussed numerous housing efforts underway. Tonight, I'd like to walk you through a series of slides regarding the city's growth targets related to housing as well as next steps. On the agenda, we'll run through a brief timeline, show the state and county growth allocation numbers, view the urban growth area, and the city's expected performance. We'll wrap it up with a preview of proposed next steps. So let's get started.
So please note, Councilmember Johnson has joined us at 6:02 p.m. Thank you.
This brief timeline starts in May of 2021, when the city initiated discussions with King County about acceptable growth targets. Shortly after, the county adopted those targets, which initiated future studies and planning processes. Those studies accumulated in a series of housing studies, including the most recently adopted housing strategy plan of May 2023. As you recall, at that time, the council requested a more in-depth discussion on housing growth and managing expectations. Under the Growth Management Act, King County, in coordination with the cities, adopts growth targets for the upcoming 20-year planning period, which is 2044. Growth targets are policy statements about the amount of housing and employment growth each jurisdiction is planning to accommodate within its comprehensive plan. In King County, the cities are expected to accommodate about 381,000 new residents and 311,000 new jobs under Vision 2050, including about 336 projected housing needs. This map shows the city's current potential annexation area in blue, as well as an area along the diverging diamond that may allow for expansion of the urban growth area. As you can see, much of the existing PAA is owned by the Snoqualmie tribe, which is shown in blue hatching. Other areas near the diverging diamond may be suited for what the county calls a 4-to-1 plan program if proposed new legislation moves forward with the King County Council. What's important about the urban growth area is that it's outside the city limits, which makes planning for growth targets difficult. This table outlines Snoqualmie's growth type along with the Growth Management Act GMA 2044 expectations and the city's current capacity. A specific call out is shown just for the projected affordable need, with a large number of units required at the lowest level of area median income percentages. You can see that the city is expected to do well for its job target. However, we are expecting to be deficient in housing and projected affordable need. The Community Development Department is estimating a shortfall of about 500 housing units of capacity. So that brings us to proposed steps, which include not only moving forward with the city's current efforts underway, but also including one new step, reconciliation. In King County, countywide planning policy D13 determines the management of the growth target allocations through the Growth Management Planning Council, GMPC. It was amended in 2021 to allow GMPC to create a coordinated process to reconcile growth targets. If initiated by the city, the process to reduce the city's current growth targets and associated projected affordable need would be conducted by GMPC after the city submits its comprehensive plan for compliance at the end of 2024. In 2025, GMPC would begin directing King County policymakers to reconcile the Snoqualmie numbers consistent with the regional growth strategy. Sorry about that. That slide was meant for the last bit that I said. So that brings me to the very last slide. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Can you go back a slide? Yeah.
Sure. This one?
Well, even the
Mayor
one
Pro Tem
just-
Holloway?
Sorry, even the one that's an unrealistic target.
What'd you say?
That's an unrealistic target. That's an unrealistic target. So your third bullet on the next slide. There can't be a plan for compliance for an unrealistic target. There could be a response to target to say, what can we do? What is feasible? But I'm a pretty big building. I'm not sure people would like it when we were to do that.
Councilor Watton?
I think the interesting factor is you look at the distribution of affordable housing. And Mayor Pro Tem Holloway's comments, it's how are we going to build anything that's 30% or lower than that without government assistance above the city? The 50 to 80%, I think we can, agree that that's attainable, but 80 to 100%, but it's all those others. I mean, we're looking at 1,000 units that are just unattainable for us without us having land, without water, without a builder.
Well,
Councilor Benson?
Yeah, and I think almost a worse outcome than not being able to do it is if we built a giant project right next to the freeway and said, this is where we put the affordable housing. I think if we do something along those lines, then we create a bifurcated Snoqualmie that will never be the kind of Snoqualmie that we want it to be, where everyone is integrated as one city. I mean, the land is where the land is, and we certainly want to look at all available lands, but a project where we did something along those lines, I think would be really detrimental to the city. I was also interested, how long have we been making these 20-year plans as a state? Is it something that we've always done?
Yeah, since the early 90s.
And when they made their, the King County 1993 plan, how did it look in 2013? Was it pretty close to what they were thinking. You know, was the 2003 plan,
2005.
would it come out in 2005? Does their plan in 2005 look pretty much like what we've got now, or are these more along the lines of the Soviet 5-year plans where they put out these targets and then everybody's expected to work themselves to death to reach them and then never do?
I mean, not sure if that's a question or rhetorical, or I don't know.
No, it's a real question. I want to know how accurate these plans are. If these, you know, if we ever reach a ladder and get a ladder that can reach the pie in the sky.
We'll look at it again in about 7 years and make adjustments, because they aren't flat plans that just say, okay, here's your 20-year plan. We'll look at it in 20 years. No, we do make adjustments and coordinate. And these growth targets are allocated periodically, like they were recently done, and they'll be done again. That being said, Snoqualmie's in a unique position right now. There are no other cities that I'm aware of that have these unique circumstances with this excess growth that doesn't fit nicely into the corporate city limits. And we did for a long time, many years, we were taking extraordinary large numbers, and we could do it. We had almost infinite ability to absorb growth. And that changed when we finally finished building out SR2.
Councillor Mayhew.
Yes, so the history is that we were heavily criticized for growing too fast. Throughout 2010 to 2020, in that period, it was a massive issue. It was in Seattle Times. It was being discussed everywhere that the growth in Snoqualmie was way beyond what we were supposed to be growing in these plans. And so, in fact, to the point where the prior mayor was so frustrated, the question was, look, these growth targets, is this maximum growth or is it minimum growth? Can someone just tell us the answer? And of course, we never got that answer. But so this has just been a goofball sort of thing, which leads me to my point of view, which is we only have so much time together. We have only so much time we can think about what kind of policies we want to promote and what kind of things we can try and make happen. And we only have so much staff time. They can only spend so much. I mean, they only have so many hours in a day to work on things. And so don't get me wrong, I'm all for the growth plan and having one. But my point of view right now is we are spending all of our time accomplishing nothing because we are talking about something that will never happen. Half of it will not ever happen. That's how far off it is. So my thought is, I would like us to do something for our community. And I believe that our community has a huge need for, so call it what you will, but I'll call it housing that is affordable to the people who are who work in our community. So the teachers, the policemen, the firemen, the folks. I don't know. I don't want to get on. I don't know what those 4,000 jobs are about, but I do know the jobs we have here today, and I know that there are a lot of folks that are priced out now. And I think we need more housing at that level, which is not 30% AMI. Don't get me wrong. I think it's great to promote housing at that level. I think it's very problematic here where we have no services, and even worse, no transportation to services, no public transportation. And and we don't have the ability to solve that. So what I'd like to see us do really is, for the most part, set all that aside and stop gnashing our teeth and spending our time on it. And let's think about what can we actually do to create more housing of that our folks need. I think there's a lot more that I'd like to see us talking about than what was on the slides. And Mr. Arteche, don't take that as a criticism of the slides. They're fine. That's not a totally appropriate presentation. But let's think about where are areas in our city that developers might develop or redevelop, and how could we encourage that to happen? What other properties does the city own? We own other properties. how could those be used either to help build on, to swap, to, what are the creative ways that we can try and cause more housing to be developed of the type that is most needed by our residents now? I'd like to see us spending time there and really just step away from most of this stuff that's been on the screen, which just, it's so silly on its face. And I hate to see us spend our time there.
Councillor Johnson?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Problem is that I think we kind of are being forced to look at things that are kind of silly for us to think about. So I think that we need to get out from under this. And I think that that's what staff needs to and is trying to get us to is, okay, so we know that we can't do that because it's never going to happen. So let's look at what are the ways that we can get to what Councilmember Mayhew is talking about. So we can, I believe, request an amendment, and there are a couple of options here that we could talk about. And I'd say, yes, do whatever.
Well-
Throw the kitchen sink if you need to. But yeah, we need to get down to the things that we actually need, which is really going to be in the, it's just like the other slide. Anyway, whatever those lower numbers were for the AMIs, because that's where our real need is, and it's what we can actually do. But we do have to address this issue that we are supposedly supposed to meet these targets. And if we don't, then what happens? There was one other little thing. I know you have a comment on that. One more little thing that I want to mention that goes back to what Councilmember Benson was talking about, which is, okay, if you just envision for a second, let's say that we just put out a plan saying that we are going to put a bunch of affordable housing in one small area on the edge of town. And you just think, okay, think about it for a second. There are terms that one could use to describe places like that I would not use in an open forum. But if we present it to King County as, is this really what you want us to do? That is counter to the Growth Management Act in its current conception, the whole idea for how a city should grow. We're not really supposed to cram people of modest means into a small area on the edge of town, far from services. Yeah, I think just framing that as, okay, what do you really ask us to do? Do you really want us to do this? Could be persuasive to some people. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor Russ. You're absolutely right. The county is asking for us to come forward with a possible remedy. And this is the one that we've been talking about. If the numbers don't work, they don't make sense, and we need to get away from that, so we can focus on things like workforce housing. This needs to be cleared up because they are expecting us to do wonderful things. They are expecting us to build some affordable housing or convert units from one AMI to another. They're not saying walk away from your task at hand. They're saying, what's the appropriate task at hand? Let's reconcile it.
Mayor Pro Tem Holloway?
So years ago, I was here, and in my opinion, it was really an attempt to cut Snoqualmie off the vine and let it die on the vine and concentrate everything down into Seattle, Bellevue, and concentrated areas. That's where it was years ago. So this is different. And the other part of this, on the lower section of that, we, the city, do not build housing. Okay, so we've got to have somehow help in making an environment in which builders want to come in and build those housing units we talked there. So part of this is back to the county and state that these are unrealistic targets. To make them more realistic, you need to help us with transportation, maybe a park and ride, services, and ways in which we can help builders make it affordable, make it profitable to do those housing units you're asking us. Because just given the status quo, it's not going to happen. We know how hard it's been to close on the mill site, on Panorama Apartments. It's hard to make these close. So yeah, give us some help and we can start talking, but just to throw numbers and no. And I agree, we need to focus on what we can do. If they want to come with some of those those enabling things, then we can start to move up what we can do as a result of that. But till then, I don't want to waste effort on unrealistic targets. It's just not gonna happen.
Counselor Christensen.
So my question is, so knowing that there's no possible way that we can accommodate the housing that they're asking us to do, what are the steps to push back then? Like, what do we need to demonstrate? How does an appeal process work for what they've given us to do, which is insurmountable?
Well, we wouldn't do an appeal process. We would complete our current housing efforts underway. We've done a wonderful job. Let me just recap. We have a housing needs analysis. We have an individual housing needs analysis. We have the Valley one, we have the individual one. We have a housing strategy plan. We have middle housing going forward. It's going to be ending this month. We're going to be doing our housing element. And then we're going to proceed that with the rest of our comprehensive plan. We got 10 wonderful elements to fill up good goals and policies, including things that might help us with the housing element, like multifamily tax exemption, which is coming to the CD committee very shortly. And then we need to submit for compliance. We need PSRC to say, yes, Snoqualmie, you are compliant with all of the state laws and mandates, including the ones at the regional government and at the county government, including our own local government policies. And then almost simultaneously, we submit to the county through this DP 13 policy that I was referencing earlier for an action called reconciliation, which triggers the policymakers at the county to go back in and take a good look at Snoqualmie, not just give us blanket numbers at various AMIs, to go in and say, hey, look at what this city's been able to do. This is what they've been able to do. They're showing us all of the efforts under 1, 2, and 3, and let's reconcile these numbers so they can deliver a comprehensive plan that meets their city's needs and allows them to move forward.
Counselor, one follow-up question, then Counselor Washington.
Yeah, if that's possible. So for item number 3, is to submit the plan for compliance, but we know that the plan that we have is not going to comply with the numbers that they're giving us. So are we expecting any kind of exposure, any kind of pushback at that stage, or are they just going to understand, hey, it's just.
Well, luckily, the Community Development Department's been in close contact with King County and the state of Washington since I arrived. And I've had ongoing conversations. The mayor's had ongoing conversations. The Valley's had ongoing conversations, which this city led. King County is fully expecting this city to come forward with a reconciliation process upon, submittal of a comprehensive plan. So we could talk about legal risks, if someone was going to try and, appeal the comp plan. But we're doing it simultaneously in joint with our fellow county government. So in my opinion, it is the most appropriate thing to do, to submit it, get compliance, and reconcile at the same time.
Counselor
I
Washington.
think Councilmember Christian and I are kind of on the same page here. So if the county comes back and says, well, okay, we're gonna cut that number in half, can you do what is it? What are they asking? 15? Or can you do 750, which is still pretty unrealistic? What would, I think you kind of just answered the question with kind of the legal remedy, but what other impacts could we potentially face?
Well, it would be a negotiated effort based on materials, the studies that I mentioned earlier in the slides, and the planning efforts that we've done. So all of those documents build up to a point of, here is what we're capable of doing. And we're not done yet. These numbers I put approximate about. We may very well likely be able to build on that vacant land that the city owns and do far better than any other city who may be working through paper exercises. So it is a work in concert.
Counselor Johnson.
I recall one of the councilors, I don't remember who it was, but was expressing at a recent meeting how frustrating it was to keep doing these studies, study after study after study. And why are we spending this money doing all these studies? And it sounds like, you correct me if I'm wrong here, but it sounds like that would be more convincing to higher levels of government than the council feels like this is an insurmountable problem.
Exactly.
If we could point to, okay, well, we've got the buildable lands, we have this, that, and the other thing to back up why the council is feeling this way.
I will not go to the county and talk and engage in any reconciliation process without proof in hand. And we have hired the best consultant team we can and secured free money from Commerce to do all of the studies that I just mentioned to help inform us, inform them. And we're not just talking about the fact that we don't want growth. That's not it. We did it for 20+ years, going gangbusters with taking on more growth, more larger targets than any other jurisdiction out there in our size and category.
So Councilor Watton and then Councilor Mayhew.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I think one of the concerns that I have, if you look across all the cities, we have a huge amount of responsibility for the 30% and under AMI across the board. But then you look at the communities that are most impacted. If you go to the Department of Commerce numbers, and it's not only us, it's also Black Diamond, and their numbers are even worse than ours in their expectations. And I think the point is this: we can't go at it alone. We need to make sure that we bring other cities that are facing similar types of numbers and be able to show, hey, they're pushing the problem to the areas where we have the least amount of resources to respond, from fighting back against the numbers to providing the services that these housing types we already know causes more stress on our public safety services. And we have the numbers to prove it. It's disparate. And the third piece to it is there is no money coming to us to develop this. And we can't do it alone. We can't do it out of our own budget. We need their help. So it's not just us. I mean, it's a combined state and federal issue that needs to be addressed.
And I would state we did. So City, Carnation, Duval, North Bend, and Snoqualmie, we did submit a letter based on those numbers, especially the 0 to 30% to Department of Commerce once we received, what our numbers are supposed to be. And we, laid it all out that we need more metro or transportation options, land and urban services, as well as some of the local needs, some of the social services and stuff. So, and then we had a conference call with them. But did you want to comment on that? As you're saying? So there are other cities that are, as you mentioned, Black Diamond, but just across the valley that we all have these large numbers that we may not be able to meet. So, Councilor Mayhew.
Yeah. Mayor, thank you for participating in that and all your efforts, any and all efforts you have in coordinating and making that happen. I think that's fantastic. I'm worried that somehow you all know something that I don't know, because I don't know what the point of this discussion is. Is there a decision? So I think I want to see us, the council, do things that will cause more housing that is needed in our community to happen. I've wanted that for 6 years. Very little of that has happened. So that's where I'd like our discussion to be. So I think this discussion, if I'm understanding this correctly, is something is stopping us from doing that, which is this stuff, this comp plan and these numbers. I think that the council has a pretty, just based on the comments, has a pretty solid understanding of that. And so I guess we can keep talking about it. And I'm not sure, like, what is it that we need? What can we do so that do you need us to approve something? Because we're ready to approve it. We're behind you on this. What can we do so that we move beyond this conversation? You have the support from us that you need, whatever that is. And then we can actually spend our time then saying, okay, now what can we do? We have some money, not a lot. We have, we both mentioned, some land, hard to figure out how to use that. But there's some UGA. Like, how do we get to discussions about doing things as opposed to kind of our frustration now, which is goodness gracious, how do we get beyond just spinning our wheels on this? What can we do for you?
Well, this is a big hurdle to overcome. Don't minimize it or don't think that
Yeah.
it's no small feat. This is huge to go back to the county, knowing that the support of the Snoqualmie City Council would like to reconcile these numbers is a huge relief. We're not just kicking the can and putting out another problem for, us to address 5 or 7 years down the road. We're actually going to rectify it and get it right. And from there, we can continue to do the good work that we're doing, which is looking at that property on Snoqualmie Parkway, finalizing our buildable lands analysis, determining if there's more redevelopable land. Maybe it's private, maybe it's public. It doesn't matter. We can certainly do a lot more, but it all starts right here. And what you're saying to me is that you want a compliant comp plan. You want to go forward and reconcile these numbers, and you want to be able to focus in on other things after that.
So that's what you needed us, the council, to give you clarity on is, do we want you doing some other things, or do we want, what exactly are we behind? That's what you're asking tonight, amongst other things.
Correct. I'm asking,
Okay.
let's all come to a roundtable and let's decide what we want to do about these extraordinary numbers that aren't going to allow us to get a compliant, comprehensive document in the future. And it won't allow you to relieve any pressure for all the things that you want to do on these individual parcels.
So is the discussion follow? Okay.
Follow up, and then Councilmember Johnson.
So is the discussion so far complete in that regard and sufficient, or because I think we would all like, to know if there's anything you need from us tonight in this regard, so so you can move forward. I think we'd like to give that to you. So please let us know what we can do, because I think we're ready to do it for you.
I think I have everything. I feel like I have a head nod from everyone at the table, and that this is an appropriate next step.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Councilmember Johnson.
Yeah, I just wanted to just say that we had a number of options on the table. Like, we could have just said, oh, we're just going to throw it all in the UGA and claim we're going to do that. That was an option that we could have gone with. But we've given other direction to try to do something that's not that. And that was unclear, I think, before tonight. And I think that I am in agreement. Okay, so let's get on with it.
Mayor Pro Tem Holloway.
Okay, in H&E, what is written gets done, what is not written doesn't exist. That slide right there. Number 3, it is not a plan for compliance, it is a plan for what is feasible. There ought to be a number 4 inserted that says, and what tools or enablers from county or state could help us. And that should lead into your discussions of reconciliation of, this is what we can do. If you want to help us, we can do more. And here are some options of how you can help us. Okay, so love to see that slide changed along those lines, and therefore it's written.
I will add a new 4.
A new 4, and it's not compliance. It's what's feasible.
So any other comments? Councilmember Christensen.
I'm in agreement with that as well.
I think Councilmember Benson. No. Okay, or Councilmember Mayhew.
So also, it seems like maybe you should change it the way you spoke earlier, and we all seem to agree with, which is, so I'm going to get this wrong. Please correct it to what it should be. But there, as I understood it, there was, okay, we're going to submit a plan,
Comprehensive plan.
and then we're going to go to the county and say, but there's a problem and we need reconciliation. So it sounded like there was 2 distinct steps there. So maybe that
It's
should be on our list, like,
yeah.
okay, here's our steps that we're going to follow, just like Mayor Pro Tem was saying.
It's simultaneous. It's just the completion of that reconciliation process can't officially start until 2025. So
Yeah, sorry, so I
yeah.
wasn't clear.
Yeah.
Yes to that. I think we understood what you're going to do. I'm just saying the items. So as Mayor Pro Tem Holloway said, maybe there should be 5. I'm saying actually maybe there should be 6.
okay.
Because that thing that you said, let's just put that on our list and say, these are the steps we're going to do. Then that's our plan. So we're doing this, and then we're going to do this. If that's our plan, let's just put it on the list. Does that make sense?
Complete the current housing efforts, complete the comp plan.
And then do the reconciliation process.
Well, so
Well, there's
3
number
was
4.
submit the plan for fees.
Or is that what number 4 is? Or number 4 is already that? Is that the point?
Correct, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay,
But we
got it.
can-
So
we-
it's 3 and then,
Yeah,
okay.
we
sorry.
can, we
I
can
didn't
ask,
understand
we
that.
can ask them, like Councilmember Holloway suggested, we can say, hey, if you provide us more, if you provide us the water, if you provide us the transportation, if you provide us the park and rides, there's
was-
more that we could do for sure. Yeah.
Water, oh my God.
That would be.
Thank you very much. It's been a wonderful discussion today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well. Any other comments regarding this? So we have a little time between now and our council meeting. Is there see no further business or motion to adjourn from this? Mayor Pro Tem Holloway,
Motion to, can we start council early?
I think you start early.
Motion to adjourn the workshop, roundtable.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? All right, we are adjourned until 7 p.m. All right. Good evening, council. This brings us to our regular meeting of the city council. It is now 7 p.m. We just completed our roundtable. And we will move on to, please stand, join us in saying the Pledge of Allegiance, and Councilmember Washington, please lead the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We now move to our first item of regular business is to approve the agenda. Council, may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Holloway, second by Councilmember Christensen. Any discussion? Mayor Pro Tem Holloway?
I'd like to actually remove 2 items from the agenda tonight. First one being the Sound City Association presentation. Our presenter is not available tonight. And also the Riverwalk property acquisition. That one is not ready for action tonight. We'll take it back to committee and bring it back. So I'd like to remove both those items from the agenda tonight. Give us a little shorter agenda. May I have a second?
Second.
Yes. Second by, moved by Mayor Pro Tem Holloway, second by Councilmember Johnson to remove the presentation, which most likely will be moved to June 26th. And same way with the Riverwalk property acquisition, we'll go to F&A and then to the next council meeting. Any other discussion or comments regarding the agenda? Not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? So it's unanimous with those changes. At this time, we'll provide time for residents to comment on items not on the agenda. First, a few ground rules. Snoqualmie residents who are not present have the right to have their elected representatives perform their duties on behalf of the city in an efficient and orderly manner. Therefore, comments will be limited to 3 minutes each. Please wait to be recognized and state your name and city of residence for the record. Direct your comments to the council as a whole, not to individual members. And please note that this is not a time to ask questions of the council, mayor, or staff, or to engage in debate. So with that, is there anyone that wanting to make public comment? So please raise your hand. I'm looking online. I'm not seeing anyone raise their hands online nor at City Hall. All right, so we will move on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda contains approval of the city council meeting minutes dated May 22nd, 2023, approval of the claims approval report dated June 12th, 2023, AB 23-081 fireworks stand permit for J&M LLC, AB 23-082 fireworks stand permit for Impact Ministries. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Benson, second by Mayor Pro Tem Holloway. Is there any public comment regarding these items? If so, please raise your hand. We'll look online. And no one's online raising their hand nor in the council chambers. Counselor, is there any discussion? Seeing none? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? The motion passes unanimously. Moving on to the next item, AB 23-068, the 2023 to 2024 biennial budget amendment. This is the second reading of ordinance 1277. Mayor Pro Tem Holloway, would you please read the summary and the motion?
The purpose of the ordinance is to amend the 2023-2024 biennial budget to provide the city with appropriations necessary to cover multiple amendments, requests, including incentive retention pay for eligible Teamsters and management and professional employees, the railroad crossing improvement project repairs for 2022-2023 winter proclamation of emergency, Agenda Bill 23006, and other small funding needs. And move to off. Well, let's see. All right. Move to authorize ordinance 1277, amending the 2023-2024 biennial budget and to no, it's it. Sorry, the motion in here is still first reading. So move to authorize the ordinance 1277, amending the 2023-2024 biennial budget. May I have a second?
Second.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Holloway, second by Councilmember Washington. Is there any comments, public comment regarding this item? I'm not seeing anyone raise their hand in council chambers nor online. Is there any discussion regarding this item? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? All right. Well, this is moving on to committee reports. Is there any report for Community Development Committee?
Oh, sorry.
Councilor
Uh,
Johnson,
No report.
Public Safety Committee,
No further report.
any report for Parks and Public Works Committee?
So we got a brand new park. It's really awesome. Open that up. Super excited about that.
Can I say something?
Councilor Johnson? Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank staff for the additional fencing. Heard a lot of requests for that, and I'm glad to see that got done really quick.
It did. Great, thank you. Any report for Finance Administration?
No report.
Well, it's like a record time. I will go through the mayor's report then. We just had the grand reopening of the Riverview Park last Friday. And so it is an inclusively designed playground with a train theme. And it was attended by both Councilmember Benson and Councilmember Christensen, along with her children, which is very nice. So this park has been busy since opening over a week ago, and has been fun to watch all the many kids enjoying playing at the park. So it's a fun place to visit. Saturday night was the Mount Si Senior Graduation Parade, and they were escorted by both the fire department and police department. And there were over 80 cars, with approximately 200 seniors who participated. So it's very heartwarming to see the decorated cars and smiles of the seniors. And also there were hundreds of families and neighbors that line the Snoqualmie Parkway to watch the procession. So this Friday, they will also graduate. So congratulations to all the seniors and best of luck on their future endeavors. And we do have, I think, Community Development Director Artecha, her son is graduating. And our interim city administrator, his son's graduating from college this weekend too. So congratulations to everyone. I attended a meeting organized by King County Councilmember Perry for the Valley mayors and representatives from King County Metro. So Metro we've been meeting for over a year with them, and Metro has been listening and will be implementing several programs that will have a positive impact on our residents, students, and also commuters. They are increasing funding for the Snoqualmie Valley Shuttle, which will provide weekend services and also increase weekday frequency. The only issue is they need to hire more drivers. So until they get more drivers, it'll probably be a little bit before they can start those weekend services and increasing frequency, but they do have the funding for it. Metro also has 3 different van programs. They have the Metro Van Pool, which many of you have probably seen around the neighborhood. They have the highest number of van pools in the country. And in the valley, there are 76 van pools. And so you can sign up if have a company, you can sign up for the van pool, and they have Metro employees would come and meet with you on how to do that. There's also a community van, which is a new program that can be used around the community, not necessarily going to work. And they're also going to have what they call a school pool, which is a pilot program that can be used for transport to school, after school events, running start. There's a variety. And so you probably just need an engaged adult that willing to drive the van. So there'll be more information coming out about each of those programs. The frequency, we have one bus route in the Snoqualmie Valley, and that's Route 208. And that will increase when light rail is open at Eastgate. So it'll go from every 2 hours to 45 minutes during the peak and 90 minutes during off peak. So most likely spring 2025, we will see an increase in frequency. There's also, we've been pushing, trying to get service across State Route 18. And so at this meeting, we had representatives from the Snoqualmie Tribe, the Snoqualmie Valley Hospital, the Snow Valley Chamber, the City of North Bend, and Snoqualmie. And the Snoqualmie Tribe mentioned that they have their own transport that brings their employees to the casino and also to their headquarters. And they provided 50,000 rides for employees last year. There definitely is a need. So we will continue to work with Metro to try to get the option of having a bus across State Route 18, especially when with the with the traffic and the diverging diamond and everything that's going to be going on over the next several years. So, but they did state Metro vans are still an option as well. Anyway. Moving on, there's an opportunity to provide input on the King County sub-area plan that will outline a 20-year vision. So you can go to the King County Local Services website and provide your input. And this has to do, what does unincorporated King County look like in the Snoqualmie Valley? So here's your opportunity to comment on that. So many of you may know that our chief, Mark Carrera, is taking a position as a fire chief of a special purpose district in California. Chief Carrera has served the Snoqualmie community as our fire chief for nearly a decade. He has made many accomplishments, including passing public safety levies, which allowed to add additional firefighters. He maintained a robust volunteer program, which continues to be a savings for the city. He achieved the Center for Public Safety Excellence accreditation. He implemented the 2014 fireworks ordinance after the house fire, and there's a lot more that he has done. So we wish him the best as he takes this next step in his fire and emergency service career. And I will be appointing Deputy Chief Bailey as the interim fire chief, effective with council confirmation during the council meeting on June 26th. So he so willingly stepped up for it. We really appreciate it. Mike Bailey has served in our department for 24 years and was the interim fire chief for 9 months in 2022. So that is the end of my mayor's report. The next item on the agenda is commission committee liaison reports. Do we have any? Councilor Mayhew?
Yes, as you all know, I'm on the PSRC Economic Development District Board, EDDB. And which meets 4 times a year, and met last week at an hour, which wasn't the middle of the night in London. So that was great. So I was able to attend, and this is kind of an interesting, I think I've spoken to you about this before after prior meetings. it's a committee or it's a board that's focused on some pretty significant things. So not a lot of it is directly applicable to us here in Snoqualmie. They talked this time quite a bit about a major achievement that they actually ended up being sort of the main sponsor of, but a meeting that occurs every few years around the Americas. It's a big thing put on by the OAS, Organization of American States, which for those of you who don't know, is sort of the UN of the Americas, if you will. And it was a massive economic development meeting. Representatives from all over the Americas were here, and they showcased kind of what's going on in Puget Sound area. It was a week-long events, just fascinating to hear the report outs. None of those events were in Snoqualmie. But it is kind of interesting to just sort of realize how much goes on in government broadly, which is beyond just the sort of things that, you know, maybe are the topic of the day, but so much that really, you know, promotes economic development. The one thing that is relevant that I heard could be relevant to us is they do have some, and I'm going to get the terminology all wrong, but they do have some small grants that they're making to incubator programs in small communities such as ours. And so I know that I think we're all aware that there's a fantastic incubator program that's been going on for years. Councilmember Watt, I think you're somehow involved with that. And so the notion that there might be some funding through PSRC for that we might have a shot at, I think is, if you're not already aware, we should connect and see if, you know, sending in a proposal is worth it, because they described it as small dollar amounts. And I think our perspective would be, that's an awful big number and we'd love to get that. So, but other than that, not much to report, but I will just say, because I know it's that time of year and we've come out of COVID, and a lot of you, I think, are looking at potential involvement on regional boards and commissions, and you can make a big difference. And I think I have found it to be personally very rewarding. So I would really encourage you all to look at that. Here's a board where, you know, our voice, my voice, which is our voice, you know, can be heard. And it's 4 meetings a year. So it's not a huge commitment, but I just encourage you to do it. I found it very rewarding. That's all, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other committee liaison reports? Councilor Johnson.
Yeah, the Planning Commission is taking up work on the accessory dwelling units. Some of you folks may recall that HB 1337 changed the requirements for ADU tolerances within cities. There are restrictions on the restrictions that cities can impose. And if it were in effect presently, our code would not be in compliance. So we have to update it. And even though if I remember correctly, it doesn't have to be updated until 6 months after the comprehensive plan is adopted. Why would we wait if this is something that staff has already put together, a list of the things that we would at least most of the things that we'd be out of compliance with? Let's just go ahead and get it done now. It's a sort of low hanging fruit. And this is just a good example of just getting ahead of the ball on this. And the Planning Commission should be able to send us an updated code amendment.
Great.
soon.
Great. Councilor Christensen.
So SCA PIC is meeting this week, but I did want to just flag for people that there's going to be a lunch and learn that's on Friday that is looking at current overdose trends in King County. If anybody's interested and you don't have a link and want it, let me know. I can send it to you. But it's online. They're very easy to listen in on and they're very educational.
Thank you. Councilor Watton.
Yeah, I've got a couple updates. First of all, thank you, Councilmember Mayhew, because this past month, Director Artecha and Nicole Wiebe were in the discussion that we had with the Department of Local Services for King County on creating a Snoqualmie Valley Economic Alliance with all the cities, trying to figure out how we can work together to go after grants. So we'll definitely take a look at that. The other thing that came up was on the 7th of June, we had our Snoqualmie Valley Housing Task Force chat. And again, Director Artecha helped lead that. And also in attendance was Mayor Ross and Councilmember Christensen. And we're tasking Councilmember Washington's policy group to kind of pick up the ball. But we looked at 3 different properties on the parkway the city owns for the potential of coming to the council and looking for direction there of how to use that for affordable housing. And our next meeting will be on July 5th, and we're going to be looking at permanent supportive housing on that. And if you'd like the link, you can find it on citydataplus.com task force. And so that's all laid out there. Yeah, so those are the couple things that we're working on. So
Great.
thank you.
Thank you. Any other updates? Great. So our interim city administrator Chambliss, do you want to speak to the department reports?
Andy, can I share my screen? Good evening. We'll start with the communications division. Their Facebook activity last month, and this is the month of May, was up 878%. They added 46 new followers. They now have 5,799. We need one more person.
I'm not following yet. I'll follow them.
Sign a kid up, do something. We need that one more. We have 3656 Twitter followers with 8 new. Our top posts are shocking. I-90S are 18 information, and also an accident backup on I-90, and then hiking safety. Our website, we had about 14,000 users last month, 18,000 page views. The top website pages, Twin Peaks is still one of our top pages, the Falls, and then Parks and Streets Division. Looking for traffic information, I'm sure. And then the mayor launched her Ross report last month. And then they did a Rotary Student of the Quarter video. They acknowledged Parks and Works Week, Public Works Week, our Department of Ecology Award, our backflow testing, our water quality report, and the Riverview Park opening. Fire had their EMS week and their CPR AED week, and they also highlighted the new opiate class water safety and cooling centers. Green Snoqualmie, chat with the chiefs, and our ARPA grant success story, which was buckshot honey. Community development had 42 permits issued last month, with 80 total inspections year to date. That brings them up to 390 inspections on 200 permits issued. And then the planning department had 1 pre-application and 8 business applications, bringing them up to 26 year-to-date business applications and 3 pre-applications. They have listed here summaries of their meetings and talking about ongoing projects, the model train, the rails, self-storage, Siglo, etc. And then there's a section at the end about the comp plan and how that they're working to get that going. They've met with they're working on the EDC element currently. And then they're also working on the Hello Summer, pushing that information out with the special events. So we are in our summer's activity season.
Fire reports that they had 126 incidents last month. 65% of which were emergency medical services, and 35% were fire-related incidents. The majority were EMS calls, and the second highest was canceled events. So they also include their pie chart showing what levels of training or what subjects of training that they worked on. They did a lot of fire training in May. They hit swift water rescue, search and rescue drills, kayak and raft handling, wildland firefighter refresher training, and vehicle driver training. Basically your summer type activities to get us ready for that. So they did 32 fire and life safety occupancy inspections in May. They found 12 violations, and the majority of the violations were fire extinguishers. There were 3 electrical violations and 1 fire sprinkler violation. So, and then Parks and Public Works, we're deep into sports. The team is prepping fields daily, and what that means is they are preparing 8 different baseball fields by dragging them and chalking them and making sure the bases are out and home plate's cleared off and all that good stuff. It's a lot of time that our crew puts in doing that, and I'm not sure that everybody's conscious how many hours in the day that they spend getting those fields ready for our youth. They spent a ton of time over at Riverview getting that all polished up and finished up. It looks fantastic. Fleet and Facilities is continuing to do what they do. Water Division, they kicked off the project over at Williams Addition today, meaning there's holes in the ground. Apologize about the traffic, but you're getting a new water line over there, so no more water line breaks. And then engineering, they're in their project season. So today was the kickoff for the Parkway project. We had a 2-hour kickoff meeting. Folks will start seeing activity out there next week. In a rough summary of the schedule, the next month we'll be working on ADA ramps up and down the Parkway. And then beginning in August, they'll start working on the grinding and paving of the Parkway. We will be working around special events such as Days Out with Thomas and Snoqualmie Day and the Boeing Classic. So all that's factored in. And then also included in the Public Works report is the community service program offered by the Department of Corrections and everything that they accomplished. And I think there's a special picture that we're going to close with. Oh, no, it's not there. All right. And then we have police. I had a picture of Phil up to his neck in one of the ponds. Police had 727 calls for service in Snoqualmie and 511 in North Bend. And that's up from 518 last May and 435 in North Bend last May. All their stats are here. Looks like the highest calls for thefts in Snoqualmie is vehicle prowls and then thefts. Hiring, they have 5 current openings. They have 2 officer recruits at the academy, and I believe those 2 are graduating imminently. And then they have another recruit starting in July, and they have 1 potential hire in the background process. And that is the end of these reports. There's a lot more information there. I encourage you to look at them. Staff is putting a lot of time in there to make sure that they are easy to read and all your information's there.
Thank you. Thank you for the update. Also, I guess we didn't mention right now is public comment is open for the jurisdictional route transfer for the Parkway. So encourage people to go out and comment. So I think next we're moving on to our executive sessions. So tonight we have an executive session pursuant to RCW 42.30.140 4B for the planning or adoption of a strategy or position to be taken during the course of any collective bargaining proceedings or reviewing the proposals made in the negotiations. And meet for approximately, how long do we think this will take? 30 minutes. 30 minutes. Those attending will include City Attorney David Linehan, HR and Finance Director Jen Ferguson, Budget Manager Drew Boutte, Interim City Administrator Mike Chambliss, and Deputy Chief Bailey. And then we have an executive session pursuant to RCW 42.30.1101 little I to discuss litigation that has been specifically threatened to which the agency, the governing body, or a member acting in an official capacity is or likely to become a party, or litigation or legal risks of proposed action or current practice that the agency has identified when public discussion, litigation, or legal risks is likely to result in adverse legal or financial consequence to the agency. This will last probably 10 minutes. So 40 minutes total. And so there will be possible action will be taken from the executive session. So once executive session is concluded, council will return to open session at approximately 8:10. We are. Okay, we are back from executive session. Is now 8:31 PM. And I believe we have a motion. Councilmember Johnson,
Move to approve the settlement between the city of Snoqualmie and the city of Duval in the amount of $48,026.19.
Second.
it's moved by Councilmember Johnson and second by Councilmember Washington. Councilor, is there any discussion? Councilor Benson,
Yeah, I'm opposed to this.
any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Say no.
Nay.
Nay.
Okay, we have 2 nays, Councilor Benson and Councilor Mayhew. It does pass 5-2. Okay. There being no further business to come before council, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
So I heard Councilor Watton and second by
Yes.
Councilor Washington. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Right, we are adjourned. Thank you.